It's 12 o'clock Eastern time, and we are ready to get started today. Uchi, can I grab the screen, please, so I can share and introduce you and Christine. Uchi, is Christine joining right now or?
Yeah, she's joining later.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Just give me a second to load up the slide. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode or another class for Tech Masterclass Acquisition Series 2. Today, we'll bring to you Project Management 101 and how do you use ClickUp to manage projects. My name is Dr. Adiola Olubamiji, and I am the founder of STEMHub Foundation. Today we'll have two speakers. Our second speaker is not yet ready. So Uchi will be taking us through what's the practicalities, some of the terms, and how to use ClickUp. Uchi, I have had a pleasure of working with him on a couple of projects, and he is one of my co-facilitator for this program that we've been running. Uchi is a blockchain engineer and works with Secure Key Canada, where he builds blockchain solutions. You know, one of the reasons why we started this is to take you into the future of work and future of technology. As you can see, Uchi is already there working on blockchain solutions and technology. Yeah, Uchi co-invented a novel way of using blockchain for big data access control and has filed a Canadian and US patent for this invention. Uchi is also the founder of AfricaHacks, a platform dedicated to enabling African youths to learn, earn, create, and play. AfricaHacks organize Africa's largest tech competition called NigerHacks.com, a virtual hackathon and supports hackathons like bothohacks.org across Africa. And we have another speaker. I think once she comes in, I will introduce her. All right, so before we go on, usually we tell you a bit about both organizations that are hosting this event for us. And I will like to talk a bit about STEMHub for 1 to 2 minutes. So bear with me as I try to find the right slides to go to. My name is Dr. Adiola Olubamiji, and I'm the founder of STEMHub Foundation. One of the sentences that I've lived my life based on and that have influenced me throughout my career from when I was little is people cannot be what they cannot see. And why is this sentence important? In 2017, I graduated as the first Black person to earn a PhD in biomedical engineering from the University of Saskatchewan. This led into forming STEMHub Foundation as we realized that our communities are looking for positive role models. Our communities are wondering where the future of work is going. Are there other technologies like biomedical engineering that we should be aware of? Over the last 3 years, STEMHub Foundation's mission has been to ensure that we have a place where we can offer free, creative, hands-on development programs to encourage females, visible minorities, and underserved youth to pursue science, technology, and engineering careers. Our mission is to ensure that every individual have opportunity to thrive in their careers, unhindered by barriers propagated by systemic representation of people with minority background. We're also hoping that we're able to push more minorities into leadership roles by ensuring that they have access to the right mentors. Over the last 3 years, we've done what we can to continue to make these contributions, and here are some of our programs. STEMming is our program where we go into community centers to hang out with the youths. We offer them minds-on, hands-on creative workshops. STEM Stars is our platform where we match mentors with mentees. If you're in university right now, or you're just graduating from college and you're wondering, how do I get the right mentor to help me be competitive? We have a program for you, and that's called STEM Stars. We also have another program called Mentor Meets the Community, where our mentors go into communities to talk to young people about what they do for work and what opportunities are there. During these programs, mentors take questions from youth who are trying to find out what is the right career path that they should go into and why should they go into those programs. We also have a program called STEM Scholar, where we'll help with dissemination of information related to scholarships and social media, and also partner with companies who are trying to give back to communities and help them find participants who can benefit from scholarships. If you follow STEMHub Foundation on social media, you would have seen that yesterday we posted two $5,000 scholarship for those people who are returning to school in Canada. If you're on this call today, you're returning to university in Canada, please look at that opportunity, and we would love to have the opportunity to evaluate your package and maybe get you to be one of those two people who wins this $5,000 each. The last program we offer is STEM Exposure, where we take young people to companies to actually see, what do these companies do? If I decide to go in this direction, what is in need for me? What kind of place will I work at? I won't bore you with the rest of the story. If you're interested in volunteering, in contributing to a community that is growing, in making sure that young people have access to education, have access to right mentors and role models, and really make decisions when it comes to their career informed, and have access to scholarship, come volunteer with us. We're looking for more volunteers as we speak. Thank you for your time. I'll turn this over to AfricaHacks. In 2 to 3 minutes, we'll be ready to go. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Dr. Olubamiji. So Hamed will be doing the intro for AfricaHacks. You're on mute, Hamed. We can hear you. Don't worry, let me just take it over. It's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce AfricaHacks. Can you stop sharing your screen, please? Okay, so as Dr. Olubamiji said, my name is Uchi, and I'm the founder of AfricaHacks. So AfricaHacks is on a mission to provide opportunities for African youths to build companies. And currently, we've expanded our focus to also support youths of African descent across the world. And we do this by providing a platform that allows them to validate their ideas. So on the Start by AfricaHacks platform, they can join the platform, post an idea, find potential co-founders or teammates, and then join one of our hackathons to validate their idea, right? So when they've been able to validate their idea, they'll be able to join our incubation program and get all the support that they need. So currently, each startup or each team in our incubation program gets over $100,000 in benefits. So including support from Amazon Web Services, Twilio, and many of those companies. So that ensures that they don't have to pay anything to build a company. They have all of the infrastructure and tools that are needed to start a company. So if you want to learn more about AfricaHacks, you can check out the AfricaHacks forum. So we have a couple of posts there, and currently we're actually running a program that allows people to get access to laptops. So for those that cannot afford to buy a laptop, what AfricaHacks is doing is providing options that allow them to pay in installments and then get the laptop that they need to grow their career or to potentially start a startup. So we are also going to be doing Ninja Hacks. It's coming up in October. So check out ninjahacks.com. And one of our partners, Twilio, is actually organizing an event where Barack Obama will be a speaker. The tickets are not free, but you can check out their website. It's Twilio Signal. So if you want to learn more about AfricaHacks, check us out on Twitter. It's Africa_hacks. We post lots of our events like this one that we are currently on, and then some other programs that we're on. And feel free to send us a message or an email if you have any questions about like starting a startup, if you need access to a laptop or anything like that that you feel that we can access to. We're always happy to support the community. So I'm going to pass it now to Dr. Olubamiji. You're on mute. Dr. Olubamiji. Okay, I'm just going to continue with the session for today. So like Dr. Adi said, for today's session, we are going to be doing a product management session, and I'm going to share my screen and jump right into the presentation. So just one moment here. I'll stop sharing these slides and I'll jump onto the product management slides. Okay, so my name is Uchi and I'm a blockchain engineer in Security, Canada. So with my work in blockchain, we build solutions that are used by most of the big banks in Canada and also some government agencies in the US. And currently, other banks in the UK and Australia are currently exploring the blockchain solution that we build. So this allows them to securely share information between multiple banks and also between different lines of businesses in their banks. So Christina is going to be taking the second part of this session, but I'm going to start first with introducing you to how to be efficient. But first, I'm sure most of us know how to play. Some of us know how to play chess, and in the game of chess, the goal is to win, right? So we want to win, or we want to try to anticipate the moves that our opponents will make and prepare for those moves. So I always like to describe project management as a game of chess or as a game of Ludo, for those of us that are familiar with Ludo. So you have to think ahead and try to anticipate what moves the opponent is going to make so you can defend against those moves. So that's how I like to describe project management. And that's because in project management, there are definitely a lot of uncertainties that come up. And in addition to that, there are lots of challenges which could be in form of miscommunication and also constraints in budget and also timelines. So at PMI defined project management as the application of resources to activities to meet project requirements. So these resources could be skills, knowledge, tools, and techniques. So I'm not really going to go into details about like the definition. The purpose of this session is really to get into the details and get your hands really dirty with using a project management tool. I'm really excited to walk all of you through this session. It's going to be a practical one where you see me doing a lot of the work, and hopefully you can follow through with all of the tasks that I'm working on. Okay, so I mentioned in the other slides that project management should be a way to carry out multiple activities to reach a project goal. But we're seeing that in the tech space, especially, and in many spaces, the developers and designers are not really happy. They don't really see eye to eye with project managers. And that's because sometimes it's because of changing requirements, and maybe sometimes it's because of the tool that is being used or introduced by that project manager. So we're going to see how, if we're looking to get into the project management space, how we're going to use the right tools, use the right approach, and be able to potentially have a good relationship with the developers and designers on our team. Okay, so with project management, there are a couple of areas or processes that are involved, but for this section, we're going to be focused on just 3 of them. So the planning phase, execution, and also monitoring and controlling. We're not really going to be focusing on the process of initiating or closing a project. So let's jump right into it. But before we do that, most of us are familiar with a lot of project management tools. So Trello is one of the more popular ones that I think a lot of us have seen and used. So it's super easy to use. You have a list of tasks that you need to complete. You move it from one stage to the other. And then this one is also very popular in the tech space. So this is a GitHub project. It's very popular. A lot of tech companies do use this project management tool, and it's free to use. You can check it out if you want to. And it does what it says. It's good for what it's made for, which is for the tech space. And then the third option is Jira. I believe this is one of the most popular ones that a lot of people are familiar with. So I use it a lot, almost every day, and I think it's a good tool. Well, the last one I'm going to walk you through, and that's what we're going to focus our session on today, is ClickUp. So ClickUp gives you a lot of control. It gives you a lot of features, and it has a lot of apps built into one app. And that's why I'm really excited to share it with you and walk you through how you can use it to manage your project and also communicate with your team. So the team that built ClickUp, they describe ClickUp as one app to replace them all. So with ClickUp, you can manage your task, you can add and manage documents, you can set goals, you can chat with your team, and do all of those things. So I'm going to walk you through how you can use ClickUp for all of these tasks, and I hope you can get all of the things today. Okay, so first, the first part of the presentation today will be the planning phase. So how can you use ClickUp for planning a project? Okay, so first, let's get set up with ClickUp. The first thing we want to do is to set up ClickUp, and the website is clickup.com. I'm just going to go to the comment section to see if people are following. So if you go to clickup.com and try to sign up, so who has been able to sign up to ClickUp? So it's clickup.com. I have it in the comment section. So just click on that. Once you click on that, you sign up to the app. And if you've been able to sign up and you got the verification email, please add your comments in the comment section so I will know. So I'll move to the ClickUp website, and I'll open a new browser window here. So it's ClickUp. If I open that, it takes me to my ClickUp stuff, but that's not what I want, right? I want to actually open a new incognito window. So that's a new private window. So yeah. Okay, and then I'll go to ClickUp. Once I'm there, you enter your email here. So you can use any email, enter that there, and you should get. Okay, so I'll enter my name, and then a password. Can you see my ClickUp screen? If you can see my ClickUp screen, please add a comment to the comment section. Okay, so I'll just sign out from. Can you see this now? Or you can see the deck. Okay. So how about this? How about now? Okay, awesome. So I'm already signed in to this particular ClickUp account. So I'm going to sign out and start from scratch. So I'll sign out from this account so we can all work on it together. So I'll log out and then I'll go to my email. I received an email to confirm my ClickUp account. So if I click on verify, it's going to verify. But before I do this, has anyone been able to sign up? Has anyone gotten the email? Okay, Blessing, I see. Okay. Awesome. So if you click on the link in your email, awesome. So click on the link in the email and you will see the page I'm looking at now once you do that. The next step will be to click on let's do this. And let's just pick any color I'll pick the red one and then click I'm happy so far. I'll still click the red one here. And then I'll click I'm happy so far too. Let's just keep this step. So when it asks, do you want to add any personal apps for yourself? For now, let's keep it and say no thanks. And then when it says who will be joining ClickUp, click on me and others. And once you've done that, let's select 1 to 5. So how many people will be working with you? Select 1 to 5. And this can be anything, but I'm just gonna leave this as my first name and last name workspace. And I'll click on next. It's asking you to invite people. For now, let's keep it. So let's not invite anyone for now. Let's just click I'm done. And for the workspace avatar, let's keep it. Let's not do anything for now. And let's click, let's do it. So let's click next too. And the next thing we want to do is just click looks good. Let's make no changes. So for the templates, we're going to pick project management. So who has been able to get to this point? Has anyone gotten to the point that I'm okay? So Al-Bashir, you're there. Who else? Okay, Abimbola, I lost you. So we can go back a little bit. We can go a few steps backwards to try to help some people catch up. So where are you stuck, Abimbola? Where are you currently? What are you currently looking at? Oh, okay. So if anyone else is lost, can you add it in the comment section, please? Okay, let's start the process all over. So the first thing we want to do is we'll go to ClickUp.com. So I'm still signed in, so I'm just going to sign out. Just one moment. So let's go to ClickUp.com. And then enter your email there. So after you enter your email, click on Get Started. We don't want to leave anyone behind. So let's just go through this once because it's all going to be practical. There's a lot of things that we'll get through. So I think now let's try to like catch up and get everyone on board so we don't leave anyone behind. So enter your email there. You can pick any of the emails. And once you've done that, click Get Started. The next step would be that you get an email with a code. So click on Go to Verify from your email. So once you've done that, it will take you through a couple of steps. So in my case, it looks like I can go back to like where I was. So you didn't get an email. Can you check your spam folder, please? And also, like you can always watch this later, right? If you missed any part, you can watch it later. So there'll be a replay of this. We're going to publish it later. But for now, let's continue. So we think of project management, and then click Use Template. So who is here with me now? Click on Use Templates. Wait on it. Okay. So and then click Play with ClickUp. So when you click on that, it's going to get things set up for you, right? So this is the first step. You have ClickUp set up, right? So that's where we want to be. And then now I'm going to switch back to the slides, and then we'll continue the presentation. So we all have ClickUp set up, or most of us have ClickUp set up. We're now going to go through the step-by-step process of actually managing a project with ClickUp.
Hi,
So I'm going to
Uchi.
jump back. Yeah.
Can you check the comments? People are saying that they're lost.
Yeah, I'm looking at the comments. So 2 people are lost, and I went back already to try to get them on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, and for those that are still lost, I think the best thing will be we can always like watch it later and catch up from there. Okay, so let's get right into it. I'm going to jump back to the slides. Okay, so we all have ClickUp set up. The next step, what we want to do next is to manage tasks and subtasks with ClickUp. So what ClickUp does is that it helps us to create tasks and also create some acceptance criteria and also assign due dates. So the first thing we want to do is to try to create a task on ClickUp and then add a description, add a due date, and all of that. So I'm going to jump right back onto ClickUp here. So I'll jump back to ClickUp. And please let me know if you're following or if you're not. So I'm back to ClickUp now. And what I want to do is I want to create a new task here. But to do that, I need to switch. Okay, Albashi, what template are we to choose? Please choose the project management template. It should be the second option. Okay, so we want to add a new task. And how we do that is by clicking on one of the lists. Once we click on that, we click on, we switch the view to board. So notice that this already looks like what Trello offers you, right? So in Trello, like I mentioned before, you have to do, in progress, ready, and complete. All of these are customizable. But ClickUp offers you that option too, in addition to other options. So we're going to add a new task in to do. So in this task, I'm going to call it plan presentation. You can call it whatever you like, and then press enter, and then open up the task that you've just created. So who's at this point now? Do we have anyone that has been able to create a new task? Has anyone been able to create a new task? Okay, so we have someone. And then the next thing we want to do is to add a description to the task. And we add the description in this session. So it could just be something like, I want to prepare for a talk, so I need to, and that's it. So so that's it for this task. Again, we've been able to create a new task. I'll go back to this point. So we create a new task, add a description. The next thing is we want to add a due date for it. But it looks like someone is lost. So I'm going to create another task, a second task. So when you get to this point, this is what you see. You will see this list view, right? So you have project management, you have the phase 1 strategy list, right? Click on that. You see something like this. And this is the list view of all of the tasks that you currently have under this list. So the next thing you want to do is click on change the view. And what we want to do is to click on the board view. So this brings you to something similar to what Trello has. So in Trello, you have to do in progress, ready, complete, and all of these are customizable for sure. But in this case, what I want to do is that we want to add a new task on that to do. So I'll click on the plus button, and when you hover over that, it tells you to create task. So I click on create task, and the title of this task will be plan an event, or it could just be, so plan book event planner. Let's be more specific. So book event planner is the title of the event. And what we want to do next is to click on that task. Once you've clicked on it, you would have an expanded view of the task. So next, let's add a description. So the description tells the person you are working with, because as a project manager, you're not the one, you are likely not the one that is working on this task. So you want to add as much detail as possible. So in a later stage of this session, I'm going to show you how to add acceptance criteria and how to add more granular details using ClickUp, because I think that's very important. Providing as much detail as possible to the person that is assigned this task would help you avoid those pitfalls I talked about. Remember that some of the challenges or reasons why projects fail is poor communication, right? So to add a description, we will just add book planner to estimate event details. So we've done that. The next stage of this process will be to assign this task, to add a due date for this task, right? So it's very important for a lot of tasks that we have when the task is due. When we just have a task without a due date, then it doesn't really make sense, right? So to do that, I'm going to close this view. When I close that, I click on the options here. So more options. Actually, there's a button here. The first option is due date. So hover over that and then click on it. So I'm going to make the due date of this task the 20th of the month. So click on that. and then we close it. So notice that it has changed the due date to the 20th of this month, right? So the 20th of this month is the due date of this task. And that's it for creating tasks. So this is a simple way of creating tasks. I want to share additional details on how to provide more options. So for example, acceptance criteria and things like that. And Dr. Adi, you can jump in anytime if you want. But just to confirm, has anyone been able to create tasks, add description, and also add, yeah. So has anyone been able to create a task, add a description, and also add a due date? Okay, Blessing, you have. Anyone else? Okay, at this, say you have. Mohammed Tahid, I'm going to send you the link. So it's called ClickUp, clickup.com. If you go to ClickUp and sign up, you'll be able to follow along. Or if you miss the first part of the session, don't worry. There's going to be a replay of this later, and you can follow along maybe in a slower pace. Okay, let's move on to the next session of the presentation. So the next session of the presentation would be how to create a checklist. So we've been able to create a task, but sometimes in project management or in a project, there has to be some specific tasks or subtasks that need to be completed for a task to be complete, right? Having a checklist also makes it possible or easy to track the different sub goals that we want to complete before that task is complete. So I'm going to walk you through how to create a checklist, and this is what we want to do. The first step is that we would create a checklist, and then we format our tests using the / command. So the / command is very, very powerful. I'll show you how it works. And then we are also going to add emojis to the checklist. So switching back to my ClickUp, and let's edit one of these tasks that we created. So book an event planner, that's what I'm going to edit. Who is still following along? Can I confirm if someone is following along, please? Okay, so Blessing, you want to add your comments to the Q&A, you raise your hands. Okay, awesome. So you're following along. Who else is following along? Okay, Team Cyril. Awesome. Awesome. Amazing. Okay, so let's continue. Next thing we want to do is to add a checklist to this task. Like I mentioned before, having a checklist makes it possible to track or know what each step that needs to be completed. So this is going to lead us to the acceptance criteria of the task. But for now, we're just going to create a normal checklist. So to do that, you use the / command. And how you activate the / command is to type / just like that, right? So I'm going to do it again. So the / should be the key beside your shift key on your keyboard. So that's the I think it's called \. So click on that, and then the first option would be checklist. So click on the checklist, and you notice that this has been activated, right? So I'm going to add a couple of checklist items. So the first one would be to call the planner, and second one would be to make a list of items from the planner. Sorry, I can't type. So the third one would be to pay the planner, and then the last option would be to probably do quality control after service is delivered. right? So we have all of these checklist items, right? But to make this work, we want to see for an item that is completed, we need to check it off, right? And to check it off, all you need to do is to click on that. So when you click on that, that checklist is checked off. But there are sometimes that you want to maybe add some, increase the font size. Yeah, I can do that. So I'm going to increase my font size. Is this better? Is the font size better? Can you confirm that it's better? Okay. Do we have anyone that's at this point? Has anyone been able to create checklists? So if you've been able to create checklists, please maybe raise your hands or type. Okay, surely. So I'm going to go over the checklist again. So I'll close this task, and then I would open the other one that I created. So open the task, and in the description section, put your mouse pointer there and press enter. To activate the checklist option, what you do is to type or hit on the slash command. This should be the key beside your shift key on the right side of your keyboard. So when you do that, you will notice that you have a couple of options, right? So click on checklist. Once you've done that, you start adding items to this checklist. So again, like I mentioned, the purpose of a checklist is to know what specific activities need to be carried out for this task to be complete. So the first thing I want to do is to plan a presentation. I need to write out my outline, right? So that's what I need to do. And then the second thing I want to do is to maybe charge my laptop. And then thirdly, I would install MS PowerPoint, right? And then finally, what I want to do is to create the presentation. And then the last item would be to review and correct errors, right? So when I look at this task, as someone that is supposed to implement this task, I know that I have to write out an outline. I know I have to charge my laptop. I know I have to install the PowerPoint app on my laptop. I know I have to create a presentation, and I know I have to review and correct errors, right? So once any of this task is done, what I need to do is to check it off. So that means that I've completed this checklist item. So switching back to the slide, there are a couple of things that we needed to do, right? So we create a checklist, we use the slash command, and then the last thing will be to add some emoji. And I think this is very important, especially if you're working with the younger demographics, right? Because with emoji, it's really easy to communicate stuff without writing too much words. And there's actually an app that does this very well. I recommend you check it out. It's called Notion. So notion.so. When you have time, you should definitely check out Notion. It helps you to also plan projects. But in addition to that, you can build websites on Notion without coding. So check it out after this session. So I'm going to add some emoji on this. And to do that, all I need to do is click on, again, the slash command. And when I click on the slash command, I would be able to see some. So yeah, I'm looking for the option to add emoji. Okay, so I can't find that. So I'll find it before the end of the session. But for now, the point is that we want to add emoji to drive a point home, right? Because for millennials and also especially Gen Z, it's important to use and communicate with them in a way that they can easily understand instead of writing too many words of text. So jumping back to the presentation, I'm going to come back to this later. Jumping back to the presentation, the next thing we want to do is to, so I'll jump back to the presentation. But just to confirm, are people still following? Is anyone lost? Can you let me know, like, if you've been able to add a checklist and if you've been able to cross out the checklist, just to confirm that people are still following. So maybe just raise your hands if you've been able to get to that point. Or the comments on the chat. Okay, awesome. So let's move on now to, again, back to the analogy of chess, right? In a chess game, there are always two players. Yeah, in the standard chess game, there are always two players, right? And in this case, so far, you've only been the player, or you're the project manager hasn't really assigned tasks to anyone. You're just creating tasks, and really there was no team member. But going forward, we're going to bring on other team members. Just like in chess, it's even more challenging when your opponent is very strong, right? And in a team, when you bring on lots of stakeholders like the developers and designers and also leadership, it gets even more challenging. So I'm going to walk you through how to use ClickUp to surmount a lot of those challenges, just like in the game of chess. Right, so we want to surmount those challenges, and we can do that together as a team. We want developers and designers to be happy with us as project managers, and that's why using the right tools and using the right processes works. So I'm going to walk you through how to use ClickUp right in a team setting. Okay, that takes us to the second session of the presentation, so execution as a team. And again, it's super important to ensure that we're helping our team members meet our goals, and that's part of the responsibility or job of the project manager. Okay, so to proceed, we're going to carry out a few tasks still in ClickUp. The first one is to invite a team member. After we've invited a team member, we invite them to a project. And once we've done that, we're going to try to assign tasks to that team member and then mention the team member in a checklist. And then finally, we assign a checklist to a team member. So notice that we can assign tasks to team members, but also we can assign checklist items to specific team members. So we can be that granular, right? So let's see how that works. So switching back to ClickUp here, we want to add a new team member to our workspace. How you do that, again, is on clicking on the left, bottom left menu item there. So if I click on that, I would see my workspace here, and I'll be able to add team members. So if I click on people, so just to confirm, if someone is people following, who can see this screen on theirs? Okay, a couple of people can see it. Awesome. So we have a couple of people that can see that screen. So what I want to do is enter an email address. It could be your second email address or the email address of your friend. So let's just enter an email address here. So I'm going to enter my other same email, but I'm just going to append it with a plus. +2 @gmail.com. So I want to invite them. It's still the same address, but so I'll invite that person. right? So it's telling me that it's pending and they have to accept that request. Well, let's not worry about that for now, right? What we want to do is we've invited them. Then let's assume that they've accepted the invitation. We don't have to accept this invitation, right? So just assume that your team member accepted this invitation and they are now part of your team. So just to confirm, has anyone been able to do this? So inviting a team member to your team. Who has been able to invite team members to their team? Okay, so I see that Adeseye has been able to invite someone. Has anyone else been able to invite team members? You can add a comment or raise your hands just to let me know that people are following. So Victor. Okay. Awesome. So we're going to move forward now. So now that we have a team member, we're going to go back. So let's go back to our workspace. So recall that we created two tasks, and then we added a description to the task. The next thing we've done so far is that we added a team member to our team. So as a project manager, part of your job is to ensure that that you allocate tasks correctly to the members of your team in a way that you are assigning tasks fairly and to ensure that you meet the project objective, right? So in this case, I'm going to click on assign, right? This is me, and this is the team member that I invited, right? So that's the Uchi for Jira +2. That's the person I invited. And what I want to do, I'm going to click on them, and that task is now assigned to that person, right? So I'll assign that to them. And the good thing about ClickUp is that you can assign the same task to two people. I can assign it to both of us, or let's not do that for now. Let's just remove that, right? And again, the due date that we had, tomorrow is the due date that we said before. We still have that there. And then we have it assigned to Uchi too, which was the second user that I invited. So moving back to the presentation, right? The first thing was to invite a team member, right? And then we've been able to invite them to our project, right? And we've assigned a task to the team member. So the next item we want to do is to mention the team member in a checklist and then assign a checklist item to that team member. So I'm going to switch back to ClickUp. But before I move forward, can you raise your hands if you've been able to do what I've done? So that is assigning a task to a team member. So just raise your hands if you have that done. Okay, so I see a couple of comments. So if you've been able to assign a task to a team member, please just indicate by raising your hands, please. Or add a comment. Okay. So a couple of people have done it. The next thing is we want to mention a team member on a checklist. So what we do is that we use @ and then we mention them there. So could you call the wedding planner on it? Okay, so could you on Friday, we can just say on Friday, right? So could you call the wedding planner on Friday? Notice that we've mentioned a user on this checklist item, right? The next thing we want to do is to assign this checklist item to that user. And what you do is you select that item, and then you click on should be able to assign it to someone. So what you do is you so I'm going to click on that again. Sorry, my screen. Actually, let's do this. So let's do this there. And then what we do is first, we assign it to myself, right? So what that means is that, no, I'll remove that. The first step is to create a new subtask, right? So we create a new subtask from that item, right? So, and then once we've done that, we go to the subtask. So is someone still following me? Again, just going through the process again. We had a checklist item, right? And what we did was we highlighted everything. So let me highlight the last one. I'll highlight the last one, just part of it. And then I'll create a new subtask. So click on that, and then you click on create, right? In this case, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that for now because I've already done it here. So, but I'm going to go back. So going back to this, and I have that. So if I hover on that, I can remove that. Well, that's not what I want to do. So I click on the subtask, it opens it up in a new tab. And then I can assign it to someone, right? So I assign it to myself in this case. And when I go back to this list, right, I still have that subtask there. And remember that we had a checklist, right? We had a checklist, and then we converted that checklist to a subtask. And after we did that, we were able to assign that checklist to someone. So just to confirm, has anyone been able to do that? So creating a subtask from a checklist and assigning the subtask to a user. Was anyone able to get to that point? If you want to indicate by raising your hands, that would be helpful. Okay, so Blessing. Or if you want to add a comment. And then for those that are lost, if you're lost, can you add a comment? If you're not following and you're lost, please add a comment to the chat so I'll know. Okay, so it looks like everyone is on track with the process. So what we want to do next is go back to the list, and we see that we've been able to invite team members. We've assigned tasks to them. We've converted a checklist item to a subtask, and finally, we've been able to assign that checklist to a team member. So let's switch back to the next stuff that we want to do. So something good about ClickUp is that with ClickUp, you can communicate with your team members, right? So in a lot of other project management tasks, you can mention team members and all of that. When ClickUp, it has two options, right? You can directly start a one-on-one chat with them, or you can mention them in a task description or a list. And also there's a way for you to start a conversation right on the chat itself. So that's what we want to do. And I think this is very important because one of the things that causes project failure, like I mentioned earlier, is poor communication between the stakeholders involved in that project. So that could be from the project manager to the developers or the designers, or from the business side of things to the project manager. So when there is poor communication between any area in the business or in the dev team, that could lead to the project not meeting its expectation. So to see that in practice, let's go back. Let's go to the next slide. So the first thing we want to do is to add a comment to a task, right? So we want to add a comment to a task. And then once we've done that, we want to mention a team member in the comment. And then we assign that comment to a team member. And the last thing we're going to do for comments and communication is to start a one-on-one chat with a team member. So, I mean, ClickUp can be used for a lot of purposes, right? So project management is one of them, but imagine that you're able to start one-on-one conversations with anyone right on the chat, right on the task. Because at AfricaHacks, we used to use WhatsApp a lot. And also we used other tools. We tried other tools, but that didn't really give us the kind of control that we had until we switched to ClickUp. So we use that now as a team. And I'm going to show you how we actually use it. I'm going to log into the AfricaHacks workspace later, and I'll show you how everything is arranged. So if you want to start using ClickUp as in your own team, I think that what we've done could potentially be helpful for you. So stay tuned. Towards the end, I'm going to walk you through how AfricaHacks has used ClickUp. Okay, but before we get to that point, I'm going to switch back to ClickUp, and then let's open one of the tabs that we had before. So we're going to open the plan presentation task, and we want to start a conversation. So to start a conversation, we are going to switch to the activities tab, right? So if you switch to the activities tab, so there are two tabs here, the details tab and the activities tab. If your screen is bigger, like mine, I increase the font size, right? So it's kind of like a smaller screen now. So it has two tabs. But if I switch back to my normal view, you will notice that I have this comment section here, right on the right part of the screen, right? So I have the comment section right there. So I think for most people that are on a laptop, this is what you would see. But if you're in a phone, you might see two tabs like I have here. So it's the details section and the activities section, right? So what I want to do in this case is I want to add a comment like, hey, how's it going with the task? And when I do that, the person that's assigned to this task or anyone that's watching the task would see my comment, just like I'm chatting with them one-on-one. They'll get a notification that Uchi asked the question on their chat, and then they can log in here and reply, right? So they can reply like good or provide lots of feedback. And then this is where the emoji stuff comes in, right? So you can add an emoji and say something like good and reply with that, right? So you can have back and forth communication with your team members right in the task, right? You can chat about this task. You can add a new file if you want. You can mention someone else. So I can mention one of my team members. In this case, I have just one team member, right? But if I had multiple team members, even if they are not assigned this task, I can mention them and they'll be involved or they'll be brought on to see the progress of the task and just like keep the momentum going, right? So I imagine that in the company, if you have the project manager and then you have your dev team and also the designers, or then you have like from the business side, if they are part of ClickUp, right? Even if they are not like involved in day-to-day task implementation, if they need to be involved to provide feedback about a specific task, all you need to do is mention them in the task, and they'll be able to like come and see what's going on, and then they'll be able to like respond directly. So switching back to what we can do with communication, we already mentioned a team member in the comment section. The next thing we want to do is to assign a comment to a team member, and then we're going to start a one-on-one conversation with the team member. Right. So this emoji comment here, I'm going to assign it to someone. So all I need to do to assign that conversation to someone is to click on assign. Right. I can assign it to that person. I can assign it to Uchi too, and that's all I need to do. They assign these comments, and I believe it creates a new subtask for them, so they know when it's resolved, right? So if they've resolved it, they can click on resolve, and it's resolved. I can unresolve it too, right? So I think this is very cool, right? Because you have your tasks, you have your subtasks, you have your checklist. But in addition to that, you also have the ability to assign comments to people to respond. Right, so you can have a full featured end-to-end workflow right on ClickUp itself. And that's why the promise of ClickUp, the app, is that it replaces everything. It replaces your chat app. So a lot of people use Slack and some other app, but you can do most of the stuff that you can do on Slack on ClickUp. And you can bring on your Google Drive on ClickUp, right? You can upload files. You can write a full Word document on ClickUp and then print it as PDF, or all of that. So everything can be done right on this app itself. So moving on to start a one-on-one chat with a team member, what you can do is to click on add view. When you add view, so notice that there are lots of views that you can add. Or in our case, we don't really want to like go through all of those. All we want to do is we want to start a chat, and then we click on add that chat view, right? So once we've added that chat view, just to confirm, are people following? So if you're following, can you indicate by raising your hands, please? Okay, I see that some people are following. Awesome. So click on chat. When you click on chat, in this case, I'm the only one here for now, right? So I can invite someone to join this chat. So I'm inviting Uchi I'm inviting the second Uchi, right? And yeah, both of us can just chat privately in this chat view, so we can keep the communication between us. And if I click on those that are watching it, notice that it's myself and also the second Uchi. So both of us are chatting on this alone, or we can invite some other person if we want to invite them just by mentioning them. So I think that's the power of ClickUp, right? It allows you to not only create tasks, but also to chat with people one-on-one. So we're getting to the point where I log into AfricaHacks ClickUp and show you how we've been able to use it for lots of things. But before we get to that point, I'm going to move on to the next part of this presentation, and that's monitoring, right? So we're at the point where we're almost done, and Christine is going to jump on very soon. So in project management, you want to be able to see, again, what everyone is doing, right? So imagine that you have a team of 4 people, you're the project manager, and then you've been assigning tasks, but you can't really see how many tasks each person is assigned to, right? So that might lead to one of the team members getting burnt out, while other people don't really have what to do. So how do you ensure that everyone gets assigned tasks that, 1, they have the ability to complete, and 2, that everyone is getting a task that aligns with the number of hours that they have available to put into the team? So that's where this comes on. So how do you monitor your team, and how do you control the number of tasks that people are getting assigned to? So what ClickUp does is that it lets you quickly identify how tasks are progressing, and then it evenly distributes the workloads to avoid overworking your team, right? So I think this is like a very, very important thing, like I mentioned. So I'm gonna like walk you through how to do it shortly. So the first thing you wanna do to kind of see a summary of your team is to go to your workplace homepage, you add a new view and select the boss view. So to do that, I'm gonna switch back here. So I'll switch back to ClickUp. This ClickUp doesn't really have much, so it's not gonna be an interesting view. So I'll have to log out and then log into like a real world ClickUp, which is the AfricaHacks ClickUp. So I'm gonna log out here. So okay, so I'll click on log out, right? And now log into a different ClickUp, which is the AfricaHacks one. Okay, so I'm logged into the AfricaHacks ClickUp. And for you to see like the entire view, so going back to this, what we want to do is that we want to see a summary of our team, right? We want to see the number of tasks that each team member is completing. We also want to see how well each team member is completing their task. And this will allow us to assign tasks more appropriately to team members. So let's see how we're doing here. So what we want to do is we click on the dash, we click on the dashboards, but that's not what we want, right? This kind of shows us like progress and all of those stuff. So for each task, but that's not really what we want. What we want is to go back to the task, right? We go back to the task and we click on everything. So this kind of groups everything together, right? And then you might not have this boss view already. So what you want to do is click on add view. So when you click on add view, you scroll down. So when you scroll down, there'll be the box view. So just to confirm, by show of hands, has anyone been able to get to this point? Has anyone gotten to this point where they are able to see like the home page of their team? So just indicate by raising your hands. And if anyone has any questions too, you can add the questions on the chat. So this will be the last thing that we'll do before we switch on to pass the presentation to Christine. So just to confirm again, has anyone been able to get to this point? What we want to do is we want to see how each team member is doing, what tasks they've completed, and also what tasks like they've not completed. And this will allow us to assign tasks appropriately. So going back to the slide, we want to avoid overworking the team, right? If one team member has 50 tasks and another team member has just 5 tasks, that's not really proportional, right? So we want to see how people in your project are doing. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to the home page and then click on everything. And then once you've done that, you click on the box view. So when you click on that, you would see like all of your team members, right? And you'll be able to see how many tasks that are not done, those that are done, and you see like the ratio of not done to done. So in this case, just looking at my team, you'll notice that I have completed 40 tasks. I have 14 that are not done. And my task completion ratio is 74%. So I think this is very important for a project manager to just kind of see how all of their team members are doing. So you might not get this view on yours because you don't really have so many team members. You have just yourself and the second one that you invited, right? But in our case here, we have a couple of team members and we've been using ClickUp for a while. So we're able to see some tasks and how each of the team members are doing. right? So going now to like providing more details on how to actually use ClickUp in the real world, I'll use this like the AfricaHacks ClickUp to really illustrate it to you. So I mentioned earlier that I'm going to show acceptance criteria and how all of that works. So I'm going to switch back now to one of the lists. So the product folder, and then I'll switch to the start project. So you just kind of see like how you should be working with it, right? So if I click on this challenge details screen and empty state, right? So this gives you like what you should be doing, the standard that you should be following. So this task was completed by Lawal. It's already closed. Well, before he completed the task, we added the title of the task, and then a description of the task, and then some acceptance criteria. And notice that we're able to mention him and ask some questions, right? And for the acceptance criteria, you notice that it's very granular, right? Things like detail for new unapplied for challenge as in design, and all of those stuff. So you have all of these granular details included in the acceptance criteria. So I think as a project manager, you should have a description and also have an acceptance criteria. And then all of these criteria can be checked out once they are completed. And then going back to the activity, you'll be able to notice what we actually did to get this task complete. So let's switch back to the activity, right? And Lawal had a question, right? He was not sure about how like this should work. He wanted me to shed more light on this task. So before I continue, someone has a question on the comment. So let me just switch back to the comment and try to answer that. So what's the time track part? Okay, that's a very good one. So I'm gonna mention that shortly. But this is like the activity of the task, right? So he was asking what that should kind of explain more, and I gave like I added two checklist item, and I added a screenshot too, right? So and I assigned it to Lawal. So once I've done that, he was able to complete the task, and then I moved it from in progress to closed because the task was completed. So as a project manager, I believe that that's how we should be working, right? So you add a task, add some acceptance criteria, assign it to one of your team members, and then if they have questions, they can ask the questions here, and then you answer the questions for them, and maybe add some screenshots too, just to clarify things. And the interesting thing is that this doesn't have to be like a tech project, right? It could be a marketing project, right? If you're someone that manages social media, for example, you can use ClickUp, just like you can see with the way we use it at AfricaHacks. So we have a full folder for the marketing team, and they are able to manage their tasks that way. We also have something called AfricaHacks that we used to track stuff too based on what we offer. And then as for leadership, you can also use it, right? So if you have one-on-one with your team members, you can use ClickUp to track how each team member is doing by adding comments and all of that. So you can add multiple projects as folders, and you'll be able to track them individually and assign those projects to individual team members and be able to also monitor their projects, just like we saw in this view, right? You're able to see what each team member is doing, how many tasks that they are completing, and their completion ratio. This gives you kind of an idea of like the performance of the team and how to ensure that everyone is getting a fair number of tasks and completing a fair number of tasks also. So going back to the question that was asked, let me just switch back to the chat if I can do that. So switching back to the Q&A, Cyril asks, what makes this different from Slack? Yeah, that's a good one, Cyril. So on Slack, we can talk to team members we can potentially install a Slack app to track tasks and all of that. But ClickUp offers you the ability to chat and also manage tasks. So you can chat with team members. In addition to that, you can create tasks, you can create subtasks, you can create subtasks, you can add comments, you can assign those comments to team members and all of those things. So it has more features than Slack, right? So I'm going to show you how to connect your ClickUp to Slack shortly. But I'm going to switch back to the comments and try to answer one of the questions that someone had. So Abashi had a question, what's the time track part? Sure. So going back to the task and switching to product, right? And switching to the Innovate app. If I open any of these tasks, right, I'll be able to track time. So like Princess here, she's working on this task now. So she can use ClickUp to actually track how much time she's spending on this task, right? So let's say when she starts working, she can click on Start Timer. And then when she stops working on this task, she can click on Stop Timer. So that kind of gives us an idea of how much time that she spent working on this task, right? But we currently don't use this feature of time tracking. But of course, you can definitely use it if that's something that you want to use, right? Because I mean, for some projects, you have contractors working with you on the different projects that you are leading, but you want to be able to also pay them according to the number of time that is spent working on your project. You can use this feature to do that, right? When they're working, they can track their time there and then stop or pause when they are not working on this. So I think that's also a very cool feature that can be used as a project manager. So moving on to the apps feature. So this is one of the last stuff that I'll be talking about. So we've seen so far that ClickUp allows us to do a lot of stuff, right? We can track tasks, we can create subtasks, we can add comments, we can add checklists, we can convert a checklist to a subtask. We can also assign a subtask or a checklist to a team member. We can chat live one-on-one with our team members. We can convert a comment to a checklist. We can upload images and all of those things. But there are still some things that are missing, right? So Cyril had asked what the difference is between ClickUp and Slack, because Slack allows us to chat and ClickUp is also allowing us to chat. So he was Cyril. They were curious about the difference between ClickUp and Slack, right? So with ClickUp, you can integrate directly with your Slack workspace, and you can do more things. Like you can start a call from ClickUp, right? So let's say you are chatting with someone, right? You're chatting with someone on ClickUp, and you guys want to jump on a call together and just kind of have a one-on-one conversation. You can do it directly by integrating an app on ClickUp itself. So I'll show you how that works. So we're going to switch back to this ClickUp, the AfricaHacks ClickUp, and then we click on one of the stuff on the left. And once we've done that, we click on apps. So when we click on apps, we're going to click on click apps, right? So when you click on click apps, the next thing we want to do is click on integrations. Notice that we already have a couple of integrations set up. So click apps again, and then integrations. We already have 6 integrations set up in our workspace. So Slack, I believe, is set up, and G Suite is set up, right? So for this example, let's just try to integrate with Google Hangouts. So I'll click on Google Hangouts, right? And I'll click on that, and it tells me how to do it, right? So integrate with Google Hangouts, we click up to post notifications, right? So it tells me to follow these steps to set that up. I can't really see that option because I have chat windows all over the place. So So, okay, yeah. So to integrate Slack, I just click on that Slack option there. Let's do Slack for now, because that's what Cyril had asked. So when you click on the Slack, it tells you to it tells you to send notifications to Slack, right? So how it works is that when I add a new issue to ClickUp, potentially I want everyone on Slack to get notified, right? Maybe my team works on Slack, and we always want to keep track of all of the tasks that are being created and all of the tasks that are being updated, right? Normally, ClickUp sends you an email when a task is assigned to you. But if a task is assigned to someone else, it doesn't really send an email. But maybe you want all of your team members to be aware of all of the tasks that are being created and updated. You can just add this option that sends a notification to Slack when a new task is created on ClickUp. So I'm not going to do that for now. But you can do that if you wanted to do that. So that's everything. Just going back to present mode. So again, the analogy of the chess stuff, right? It's project management. There are going to be lots of challenges, but I think anticipating those challenges and using the right tools to, one, plan, and then two, making sure that all team members are engaged and all team members are assigned a fair amount of tasks. That will definitely reduce the number of challenges, right? Because you are anticipating that maybe there will be an emergency with one team member falling sick. All you need to do is just assign that task to someone else easily. And I think that makes things easier. So again, by working together as a team and then really anticipating challenges will definitely help us or help the team win together. I'm now going to pass it on to Christine to take over with the final side of the project management presentation. So Christine, when you're ready, please. I have to make Christine the host. So Christine is now the panelist.
Hello. Hello. Okay, how's everyone doing today? Okay, thank you for having me. I'm just going to open my screen and you can let me know when you can see it. Can anyone see my screen? Okay.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, I'm just going to go in present mode. So it's loading. No. Okay. So thank you, Uchi, for this presentation. I think Uchi really tackled the, we can see me too, right? Just to ensure. Okay, so Uchi really tackled. Okay, so Uchi really tack on the implementation and the phasing that we're using different tools. And this part will be really looking into the theory and really getting to understand a little bit more about what project management is. Not that this part is boring, but it's a more in-depth information around project management. So again, my name is Christine Dikongué, and I'm going to give you a little bit of update. So a little bit of update about me is I took my project management certificate back in 2017. at the University of Toronto, and I started working in digital project management at an investment company where I really started using this. But initially when I did project management, it was really because I had so much interest about different things, and I really needed something to guide me and to really help me understand all the different steps I needed before doing something. So how did project management really started? So until the 1900s, civil engineering projects were generally managed by creative architects. You were actually had to be like one of the top, at the really top of your career to actually manage all of those projects. And really what it looks like is going to 1950, organizations started to systematically apply project management tool technique to complex engineering projects. Project management is actually believed to be actually started at the NASA, at one of the NASA project, and they took the NASA project to really look into how were they able to implement and deliver a project such as a NASA project. Terms. So here we're kind of be adapting some terms. You know, you have in project management, those are the terms that you kind of need to know. PMI, what is PMI? So PMI is a non-for-profit project management association and the most widely recognized organization in terms of promoting project management best practices. PMI was formed to serve the interests of all project manager industry. And really what the comment is that they're really there to be the guiding organization behind it. PMO. So the PMO is a project management office, maybe the home of all project manager. Maybe in your organization, you have a PMO and you have the head of the PMO. And within the PMO, there's multiple project managers that are there because the project manager is simply the resources of all project managers available as a company. And just a quick note about project manager, you know, right now we are into the remote working and everybody working from home. But for example, for me, I've been working from home since 1 year because I've been like a consultant, a project manager. And the project manager are actually the one that really started this working from home because they could actually work from home. They don't need to be in your office in order to manage and control the project. They can do it from home. So they really start really pushing their institution to make them work from home because they don't really need to be there. PM book. The PM book, it's like the PM book, it's like the Bible of project manager. So if you had to do the PMP, you had to understand what the PM book is. It's a project management body of knowledge. It's a set of standard terminology and guidelines for project management. The body of knowledge evolved over time and is presented in a guide to the project management body of work. And right now we're currently in the 6th edition. The underlying theoretical foundation of project management is really applying to two different things, the theory of the project and the theory of management. In order to be an efficient project management, you need to understand those two things. So this is like an example of the PMO book that you can have on, you can find available on Amazon. And really this book really gives you like the wealth, the knowledge of what exactly you need to know about project management. And here, oh, I thought we can zoom. Okay, I can zoom, it's fine. So in here, the PM book is really what it is 10 guiding area principle. The main one, initiating, really, it's, you know, creating a project charter, identify the stakeholder, then you have the planning, plan scope, you know, communication plan, identifying the baseline and executing, then you have the monitoring and you have the closing of each project. And I'm sure Uchi gonna touch base on all of that for you, but really all of those terminology really came from the PM book, which is the book of knowledge. And again, this is different, the knowledge area, right? Integration, what is integration? What it's needed? What are the activity that needs to be identified at the beginning of the project to ensure that we're going to meet the scope, get to meet with the client. What is the scope of the project? What's the schedule? When it's needed for the cost, the quality, resources, and communication. Because the thing in a project is that there's so much different communication that you actually need to have a communication charter where every communication needs to be detailed, because you don't want to now tell your client that, well, you told me that last time. Whereas if you start saving all of those communication factor in a communication plan, you will be able to really see what was discussed on last week and what is the action item in doing so. So if you want to be effective in managing project, then you need to be effective in managing each of the 10 knowledge areas that make up the PM book. So That's kind of like my, like, you know, when I start a project, like my fun part is really the project scope, planning the project. And I think that's the most exciting part of the project because it's before the problem, right? So it's like, okay, what are we doing? You know, you get to meet the client, you need to get to take your notebook, and that's the moment that you need to ask all the questions. I'll ask as much as questions possible because you need to come up with the scope of the project that will describe that will describe what the client is looking for. The definition of the project success often includes completing the project within budget. So identifying the budget, and even before approving this budget, do your research. If you get the project in the health industry and you don't understand the health industry, the beauty with the project manager is that you do not need to understand the industry in order to complete the project. You will use what we call SMEs, subject matter experts. You will call if it's something on 3D, you know your friend, Dr. Adiola. Oh, Dr. Adiola, I have a 3D printing project. Can I hire you as a consultant? Dr. Adiola would say, oh, for sure, hire me as a consultant. I will help you come up with all the different things that you do not have visibility into because I'm a subject matter expert in 3D printing. You meet with Dr. Adiola, give me all the different details. Dr. Adiola will tell you, okay, you need an engineer here, you need this, you need that. All those different information, you take this back into your project and you can plan it. And you can tell, okay, before these tasks happen, I need to make sure that the engineer is setting the base and this, da, 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 da. So I think this is the beauty of the project management. At the project scope, you get to identify everything that needs to happen for the project to be completed. So the clients, they always expect the project to be executed efficiently. They don't want any cost because you can start, doing your cost back and forth. You can always negotiate around budgeting, but don't push too much because there's some expectation. And the client, ultimately, they are your boss, right? They can get you out of the project that even though it belongs to you. But that's why you really need to look into the contract that you're signing and you have all those details into the contract. So project chart. So the project charter, that's kind of an example. You have and I think the beauty with project management is that, it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's complicated, but I think when you start understanding the different documents that you need in order to accomplish your project, then it becomes like a process. So the project chart really most likely have the project name. What we call the project sponsor is who is giving the money. Who's sponsoring this project? It's the same thing whether you're in an organization or on your own term and you're the own consulting. The project sponsor is always the person that's giving the budget, and the project manager is the person, like, for example, myself, I will be managing this project. And sometimes you will have a project coordinator that will be there to ensure that you have all the different information that you need. So you have to describe the project description. What are we doing? You are introducing a new automated telephone system to ensure all calls get answered. The project description has to be as simple as possible because the project is so complicated that you don't want to get any complication in the project description. It has to be something that anyone can kind of take and understand what the client wants to accomplish. From there, you see the scope. Okay, now I understand what I need to do. Okay, the scope, now you get into the detail of what exactly, it's like you go into the back end of that project, what exactly needs to be done. The business case, that's what the client is trying to achieve. So most of the time, the project management are called when the client is trying to achieve something. It's trying to, okay, in doing this, I will be able to accomplish this. So your project is not just about, okay, I'm doing my project, okay, bye. No, your project is ensuring that as you implement those different activities, those activities will be translated to the business case. And that's why it's also important in your contract to ensure that you don't have any liability on the success aspect. You can take some responsibility within the success of this project, but don't take the success. Don't say that, okay, with this project, you'll be able to increase the sales of $10,000. No. Don't say things like that, because once you start saying things like that, you will be held accountable, and that client can come back to you and sue you. And you don't want that. On the project charter, you will have to indicate a constraint. What is the constraint? And that constraint is your guide for the project. And the constraint is always the time. How long will it be? 4 months. And within that 4 months, you have to put every detail, even the coffee that you're drinking, like every different detail that you needed. Like if you're going to meet someone there, would you bring a coffee? all the different data that you need, you put this on the budget, how many developers are needed, how many sales team are needed, some, scope to be determined, because that's like a bigger portion of it, quality, prioritize time and quality, project deliverable. Eventually, we'll get into that. You'll have like a long list of project deliverables, benefits, steering committee, and key stakeholder. The key stakeholder are so important because you will know exactly who to turn to when you're in a situation and you don't really understand what to do. Okay. So in simple way, the project chart is one, defining the project vision, organize the project structure, and have an implementation plan, and estimate risk, issue, and budget. So this is how they're doing it. Like in I don't know, some organizations are still doing it, but for me, I've stopped using those Excel spreadsheets because it's just too confusing. But I'm still kind of showing this to you and how a Gantt chart will look like, and this is kind of how it looks like. You will have the charts here in terms of here. You determine the timing, whether it's here, whether it's day, it's up to you. And here you list the list of deliverables. So those list of deliverables are important. So with the project, you have the project plan. The project plan contains the list of deliverables, and each deliverables must be met in a different time. And if they're not met, it's okay. It's better for you to communicate with your client that, okay, you know what, this won't be possible because the engineer this, in order to do this, we do that. So we need to accommodate, because if you don't communicate with this, the client will hold you accountable. So again, it's better for you to communicate, even if it's not your fault, right? But it's better for you to communicate than to be called on, and you don't want that. So now I went into our ClickUp, Uchi kind of show you a ClickUp, and that's going to show you how it looks like on our end in terms of different projects and activities that needed to be done to complete the platform. So we have different projects and activities, we assign it, we have a due date, and we also have a priority that we have here, okay? Please, and if there's any question, let me know. I can't see any question, but if there's any question, please let me know at any moment. Okay, so stakeholder register. Your stakeholder are very important because you need to know within your organization who you're talking to, right? Project integration management, what do they do? Project scope management, what do they do? Who will be executing it? Project time management, project cost management, project quality management, and you register all of these stakeholder, and you start, adding the names, and you know who does what. So this is like the first thing that, in the theory of project management that everybody will teach you. And if I didn't teach you what we call the golden triangle or the triple constraint, then I'm not doing my job well, right? So this is the golden triangle or the triple constraint, and everybody is just like, oh my God, this is like the main thing that you kind of need to know in project management. Quality, it's always important to deliver quality. What's the level of quality that must be deliverable? What's the level of quality that each deliverable must have? Because again, it's not just about delivering a project, it's also about ensuring the quality and having quality assurance and control. Cost, what's the budget constraint must be delivered? What's the amount of money that we have? Schedule, again, what's the time frame do we have to deliver? You need to know all of those things, the scope. You need to do all of those things, but again, we have this new thing that we call the double triangle. So at the same time that you have quality, you have schedule, you have cost, now you also have resources, you also have risk, and you also have time schedule. So those things are very important. And the double triangle, it's really a project constraint, sometimes measure the client satisfaction as well as the team satisfaction as a two-way approach where the three other prompts of a new triangle along with processes. This notation can be especially helpful when delivering a software solution for a client, because you need to ensure that your team is doing well, especially for a software client, a software product, that your team is doing well and that the client is also doing well. Because if your team is not doing well, what's going to happen? Well, the project is crashing and you don't have time to train, to bring new people. It's actually going to affect your time. So that's why resources are very important. So if you want to effective in managing project, then you need to be effective in managing each of those 10 knowledge areas that make up the PMBOK. So this is like I have a lot of favorite parts, but I think this can be used even now today. If you've never known about what the RACI chart is, I beg, please just like write a note out there, because for me, this I even use it at home with my sister. You know, we know who is doing what. I don't want any problem, but I think this is very. Can you still hear me? Hello? Can you still hear me? Yeah. Can you still hear me? Let me see the Q&A. Can you still hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, because it says here that perfect. Because it says here that my connection was unstable, so I just want to make sure that you can still hear me. So the RACI chart, like the RACI chart, guys, is so important. Like even if you don't have any project, even if it's for your life, just use it, because this RACI chart is able to tell you who is responsible on the project, who is accountable on the project, who should be consulted the project, and who should be informed. So I will give you an example, create design, because this is something that we can all understand here, right? Create design. So as we create a design, you know, project manager, consultant, architect, contracts, and client, who do you think will be the responsible one in creating the design? It will be the architect or the designer. He's responsible. He went to school to study it. He has most of the skill. Most of the time, responsibility is the person that has the skill and the person that's empowered. And you need this before, you know, the most of the time when there's a miscommunication in the project is because the RACI was not well established. And when you establish the RACI chart, trust me, everything will go well. Accountable. Who is accountable to ensure that this design is produced? Because yes, the designer can be responsible, but who ultimately will be accountable? Meaning that if the design is not done, the client is not going to go to the designer, he's going to go to the project manager, because the project manager ultimately has the entire responsibility of this project. You see here, accountability doesn't go to nobody, right? It goes to the project manager, because he is the one responsible of the project. The accountability is only here. It's nowhere else, because he's the one accountable, and he will be held accountable to deliver this task. And this person is responsible. If he cannot make it, we can always fire and hire another person. But the project manager, that's another problem. Consultant, who needs to be consultant? And that will be, maybe it's a 3D print. Maybe that will be Dr. Adiola that we hire for this project, because we know that the project management know that in order to really ensure that this 3D print design is perfect, we need to have a consultant. Now, the project manager, myself, I'm taking this design to Dr. Adiola, and now Dr. Adiola will look into it and say, Christine, this is good. Okay, but now I'm looking into this. You need to tell the architect to just redo this thing and do this there. And she put all her annotation there. I'm like, okay, because I trust the consultant and I hire the consultant as a subject matter expert, I know that the advice that she's giving me are real, because she's a subject matter expert and I don't know it. So you always need to have someone that you need to consult, especially for tasks that you do not know about, right? And those industries that I mentioned earlier. So Dr. Adiola is consulted. Okay, everything is great. Who is informed? The contractor. Okay, the contractor that will contribute to architect. Okay, he got informed and all that. And the client as well is consulted. So I always recommend go to your consultant before going to the client, because the consultant will tell you all the different things that is not okay. So you have time to change it, and then you take it back to the client. Now the client will look at it after Dr. Adiola, I've looked into it. Okay, that's great. Okay, let's move forward. Let's move forward. And most of the time, when you do not do this, get back to the subject matter expert, the client actually catch things that you didn't even catch, because you don't even know this industry. You're a project manager. You don't need to understand everything. So always bring the best consultant that you can on your project, and someone that you trust at the same time as well. So I just gave you a walkthrough to create design, and that's kind of like the same thing is everywhere, right? And again, the consultant is always accountable. The project management is always accountable for most of the thing. Approve constructional work, approving things, it belongs to the client, right? Defining functional and aesthetic need, this is the project scope that the client will give us, so we know what we're working through, okay? And then the project manager cannot be accountable for those two different things, because it belongs to the client. And you don't want to be in a space where at the same time the client is responsible and you're accountable. That cannot work. So managing a project. So I'm just, again, this is a screenshot from the ClickUp that Uchi share with you earlier, and I'm sharing this the screenshot managing a project. And on the ClickUp, I don't know if Uchi touched base on it, but the beauty with ClickUp is that you can actually change the views. Once you set up all the different tasks, as he show you how to do so, you can actually change the views, the dashboard, and you can do it in a way that is, any project manager or any client will understand, a Gantt chart, and then you can print this and you can bring it over, as opposed to this very old school thing that I'm just like, to even start this, it already give me like, I can't, I'm just like, no. And the good thing about it is that back in 2017, when I was taking my project manager certificate, we only had this. Although those two, ClickUp, it's so new. All those tools before used to cost $1,000, and now it's free. Use it, honestly. Don't waste your time in doing complicated stuff. That you can do all of those complicated stuff here, and you will be able to digitally change any different task if need be. And again, that's another thing. I don't know if Uchi touched base on it, but on the task on the ClickUp, you will see that you're even able to do the task dependency. Task dependency are super important. You can now create a job. So this is like, I took a task dependency from an old Gantt chart, right? As you can see. But basically what it means is that before getting into the discuss the concept and this task, you need to do a brainstorm. This is a new brochure. So the brainstorm needs to happen before this task. And all those things are important because you need to understand how to move forward. And it's like you're trying to dress up and then you don't even dress up and you leave your house, right? So how can you leave your house without dress up? Again, right? You need to have those different task dependency to know that you're doing different things before performing a task. It's like a computer, basically, that we're doing here. We're telling the project to do different things, just like a computer, if you do computer programming, but it's the same thing. You need to do different step before getting to that step. Before releasing the step, what do you need to do? Before advertising, you need to get the graph approved, you need to get the compass. And what I love with the ClickUp is that those templates are there, and you can actually create a template and reuse it to your anytime you want. So if there's any question, please feel free to kind of give me any question. Let me check in the chat room to ensure the network was full before, but fine now, perfect. Thank you for this, Cyril. Project management tools. So project management tools, there's two different tools, and I guess today Uchi will chat about the ClickUp, but there's also this tool that's called Monday.com. And I don't want our presentation to be biased. We're not sponsored by ClickUp, or no, we're not sponsored by them. It's just happened that it is a tool that we're using at AfricaHacks, but I also want to give this opportunity to kind of overly introduce a Monday app, because project management, if you don't have the tools, you can manage your projects. So Monday.com vs ClickUp. So Monday.com, it's basically a cloud-based work or organization structure where teams create workflow apps in minutes to run their process and project. ClickUp is a fundamental new way to work, bringing separate apps like task, docs, spreadsheet, goal, tracking resources. And the good thing with ClickUp is that it gives different approach. And again, ClickUp has 4.7 points. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? It does kind of the same thing. But the one thing that we're seeing here is that the window phone app, it's not a window phone app yet, but I mean, who has window? I don't know. But it's an iPhone, Android, web-based, and if you have a window phone, you're still okay, still fine. But I mean, it's not a big deal here. But I'm accepting that maybe Monday and Microsoft are working together. And typical customer, they're kind of the same. They're the same tools. They really, it's not really, there's not a big difference with them. I did some screenshot here of the different interface for you to kind of have a look at Monday. Monday have a different approach where, they create those, you put this, you do the assignment, and you have all those, colored there. I don't know. When I look into Mondays, I like the interface, yes, but I still think that ClickUp has this intuition. And even if you're not a project management on ClickUp, it's so fun to do. You can do so many things attached. It's like just a fun thing to do, honestly. So I have this question, and that's kind of like a breakout moment. What do you think are the top project management skills? And if you want to kind of drop your thoughts in the chat, that would be great. That's the moment that we get to kind of entertain. So what do you think are the top project management skills? Time management, okay. Mark saying time management. Paul say communication. Exactly. I agree, because if you're not a great communicator, then you won't be able to even be comfortable in telling your client that we're not going to be able to deliver, right? Okay, process design is very important. Exactly. So you know exactly what's the next step before we get to a certain step. Organizing skill. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Budgeting. Honestly, if you're not good at budgeting and you have a project, I would recommend you to hire an accountant, because with the budgeting that Al Bashir just say, if you don't know budgeting, just hire someone that understands. Oh, I love it. Moses say emotional intelligence. I'm so glad that you share it. I'm just going to give you a little bit of so my project. So when I did my project management certificate, guess what? We had to do a presentation, and my presentation was around the future of project management belong to it was around the project management and the emotional intelligence of a project manager. And I actually went to interview top C-suite level executive in my company back in the day, an investment company, to talk about emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is so important because you need to understand the room. You need to be able to change the tone of your voice, like what I'm doing right now, to ensure that you're able to convey all the different delivery and also resolve any issue at the table, and also be a type of person that people will go to, as opposed to be a person that people will run from. And this, like that, makes you a great project manager, because you're able to manage not only project but also emotion, and you're also able to tell from talking with people how they're really feeling, and adjust the way you're talking to ensure that you guys are in the same level field. Interpersonal skills, very important, and they all feed into emotional intelligence. Be able to be very comfortable. Those project manager in the software industry, computers industry, they start understanding that emotional intelligence is so important, because software engineers are really coding most of the time, but you also need to understand that, are you okay? Are you not overwhelmed? You need some time off, and all those different things. Because if you're not able to tell this, then you might have some stale down the line. Budgeting, conflict management, exactly. And conflict management, they all link together. In order to resolve the conflict management, you need to be comfortable in your own emotion, and also comfortable to be able to have those type of discussion. Negotiation is also great. Yes, you definitely need negotiation skill, because when you're a project manager, the money is dropping to you. They say you have a 1 million project, and for that 1 million, you need to pay yourself. You need to pay the people that you're bringing on the project, but you also need to pay the contractor, external contractor. So the negotiation part is very important, because you have to be within the budget, and you have to be willing to negotiate in order to meet the budget. Adaptability, and that's a great thing too. Adaptability in any project, there's always change. Like, if you go into project management thinking that, oh my God, this is so great, I have this template, I'm just gonna do. No. Adaptability is the number one skill as well, because you need to be able to adapt to different situations and be able to move forward. Because if you're this type of person that there's change, oh my God, there's change, and you cannot manage the change, then you cannot be a project manager. I have to be honest with you, because as the client changes his mindset, you need to adapt to the client mindset. And always remember that it is not your project, it's your client's project. Leadership skill, that's so important. Leadership skill, that was actually, when you're taking project management foundation, there's 3 different courses. Actually, the project management foundation, project management leadership, that's like the main course that they make you take in the certificate. And the third one is controlling and risk management, and all that different thing. Because if you cannot understand, if you cannot perceive the risk, you cannot forecast the risk, then I think you have an issue. So it's very important to know all of those different things in the project, right? So thank you for participating. That was fun, wasn't it? So again, most of the things, I think it's all here. It's all, did someone say organization, or is this something that we miss? Because it's all here. We all have them all here. Let me see, just to see if we did well here. Organization, or we miss organization. Yeah, problem solving, we have this, but we miss organization. But really, when you think about project management, you just think about, you need to be organized, right? So all of those different skills was right on, and emotional intelligence kind of fit into the leadership, because you need to be able to do that too. There's another comment that's coming in. Let me see. Yeah, thanks, Mark, for the list. Exactly. Yeah, Mark's provided, he provided a lot of the list, and again, we'll have this thing available for everyone to look into. So these are the top project manager skills. So in the room, who has those skills? What sort of skills do you have? Because right now I ask you, what do you think are the top project management skills? But what do you think? It's also important for you to ask, and if you want, please share with us, what do you think out of those skills, do you think you have them all? And what do you think you have in the skill, and what do you think you need to work on? And I think it's important, and we're in a safe environment here, so I think it's important to know those type of things, right? To understand what type of leader we are. And I'm in computer science field, but my question is, how do jobs that are not computer-based able to bring the stakeholder into using PM jobs, especially in informal sector? So what sort of PM tools are you referring to, Abashir? What sort of can you hear me? What sort of PM tools are you talking about? The one that we're sharing today, or you're talking about the traditional one? Hello, Abashi, are you hearing? I'm trying to answer your question. I'm in computer science field, but my question is, okay, how do jobs that are not computer-based? So what sort of job that are not computer-based? Because we are in the fourth industrial revolution. Most of the job are, well, the Gantt charts, well, let me go back here. So, well, the beauty with this, with the ClickUp, is that you can actually, all the stuff that you're working on, the Excel spreadsheet, you can have it there. It can live on the ClickUp. You can attach it, and you can click on the ClickUp and you can see it all. But it's up to your level of comfort too, right? You want to try a small scale project first to see if ClickUp is something that you think you should be using. And if not, you can, of course, you have to continue with your spreadsheet, but this is more, ClickUp is more at a team level, where you have your teams. Maybe you have 5 people on the team and they need to track the entire project. But the Excel spreadsheet, you will always have to bring those Excel spreadsheet for sure, but you have to attach it on the ClickUp. ClickUp is just there as a tool to manage the project. So if there's other component within the project, like, as I said, maybe you have your construction, I don't know what sort of chart you guys do, but all of those things can be there. And even the Gantt charts, you can go in there and start putting all the different things that needs to be done. And now you see, I have a view as a Gantt chart here. I wish I was opening my stuff, but this is actually, you can use it too. But if the problem is a matter of connectivity, you don't want to use a tool that people don't have access to. This is for people that are a bit, teams that are a bit forward, techie in this sense, where they will be there. But why not bringing the construction team online too, right? They need to understand what they have to do, right? Maybe, as opposed to give them, instruction, maybe they also need to look into it. And before they get to job, the next day, they know exactly what they need to do. So, this approach is really, this tool didn't exist like 5 years ago. This is a very new tool. And those tools used to be very expensive. Yes, I can show you a live. Let me go. Okay, I can do that right now. Let me do that now. So let me see if this is so this is, and because we don't work like in here, this is just for some projects, but so you cannot really see all the different things here, but this is kind of how the Gantt chart will look like. the platform, all the activity. But let me actually go more in details and see here. Actually, let me go into my own because I have a better. So basically, the way it works, right, is that at the end of the day, you come into view, and then you can add different view. You can add a mind map. If you're doing a brainstorming, you can add a timeline. You can do a workload. So let me add those two different view so that we can have different view, because workload is also used in the construction industry. So let me also do Gantt charts. Okay. So Gantt charts, this is kind of this is how it looks like. But again, it's because on my marketing, I have different projects here. Okay, this is like, and it's not like, you know, it's a set of projects. So basically, in order to be able to do what you want to do, your overarching project has to have different tasks, and those different tasks will have to have a different timeline. So you see me, I have different timeline where marketing it's here, that's when it's you, and they're not dependent. If they were dependent, you will see creativity under the topic, which was an event, will be dependent to the web app. So it's really up to you on how you want to do it. And let me see if I can see something else. So again, I can show you. But again, you know, you have to work with this yourself and use a small scale project in order to do so. I'm moving into like another view, which is like the workload view. And you have all the tasks that's been scheduled, and you can see the status, whether they're completed or whether they're not completed. No efforts. And you can see overdue, and those are the tasks that were supposed to be done and they haven't been completed. I hope that clears some of the question that we have here. And again, right, those tools, you need to kind of use it on your own as well to see if this is something that you'll be able to do. The way I'm looking at it is, for a construction project, it's so complex that you just want to have the manager here for him to know exactly what's the next approach. So I'm looking at it as your project plan, as opposed to the task, the different tasks that you need to ensure for construction to be open. I'm looking at it as more as managing the project as to managing the activities. Does it make sense? More question. Please show it. Okay, what about at the moment? That's a good question. I will, if you don't mind, I will take away the Atlassian conclusion tool, because as I was looking into it, I kind of saw there might be some integration down the line, but this is a great question, Paul. So the Gantt chart, so surely the Gantt chart is actually it's a project management controlling tool that really, as a project manager, you have your Gantt chart and you know exactly from the start to finish what you need to do in the project and all the list of activity that needs to be done before you move to the next step. And from the Gantt chart, you can see what are the projects that's behind, where if you are on time, and sometimes when you're on time, you can start a project before. So there's a lot of different nuance in the Gantt chart. You can do so much different thing, buffer time. You know, we can go on and on in this project management, but it's Al-Bashir replied, say yes, he does. So so he already replied for us. So surely, you know, a Gantt chart is really, it's your controlling tool for you to have all the different information that you need to know on the project. Most of the time, when a project manager is getting into a new project, he will ask the Gantt chart, so he will know. As a project manager, you can just go there and look at the day. You know exactly what's been done, what hasn't been done. So the good thing, what I like with when we digitalize this Gantt chart, to your question, Al-Bashir, is that when you're not in a digitalized environment, you need to walk and go to talk to X and say, X, did you finish this thing? And X will say, oh yes, I finished this thing. And you yourself will have to manually check it. Whereas what I like with ClickUp is that it's putting the responsibility of each task to the task owner. So you can, for each task, you can tag the task owner, and the task owner can let you know if the task is complete or not, and that's his responsibility. So then when you come there, you say, oh, you told me that the task is complete, then now if you're in construction, then you can go and kind of go check the task if it's completed and things like that. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. It's saving time as opposed to you just going there and checking and coming back. Well, now you put them in that responsibility. So the next year, so we talk about that. We talk about ClickUp, and we talk about Monday.com, which is also another free app. And those tools are free, but you know, those tools, they will ask you for different feature, and the different feature that's going to ask you. You see typical customer, mid-sized business, large enterprise. A lot of enterprise are going into it. When I was working at the investment company, we use Workfront. And now I'm looking at Workfront. I don't know if you guys know Workfront. I'm looking at Workfront. I'm like, what the hell? That was so complicated. Whereas this, it's more like I think it's more intuitive, and you can kind of do it on your own. Now I'm going to move on to the next slide. So that's a Monday interface, as I said. And then we spoke about that. So that's you know, that's really what a project manager is at the end of the day. You know, the project management, you know, whether it's shiny, it's raining, the project management literally handle all the different tools that needs to do. He will you know, he will ensure that everything gets done, and he's going to be eventually, he like, I like this picture. I like this picture because it tells you exactly what a project manager is, and then what needs to be done in order to accomplish the stuff. So I'm going to move on to next thing. And okay, maybe before that, another cool question to ask to kind of get you guys engaged. In the room, do we have project manager? Where are we? What are you looking into doing? You know, are you a project manager? Are you looking to get into this field? What do you think is needed in order to become a project manager? That's the next question that I have for the chat. What do you think it's needed to become a project manager? Or are you a project manager already? Hello? So the question is, just to kind of like, you know, to get chatty over here, what do you think is needed to be a project manager? And are you looking to become a project manager? Hello? Okay, so I'm going to take this question. So, you know, in order to become a project management, okay, Uchi is looking to become one. I'm not a project manager. Serial is saying I'm not a project manager myself just because I'm handling the project, or is there something more? Well, you are a project manager yourself. Exactly. Project management is through experiences, and sometimes you need different experiences to become a project manager. Funky say, yes, I'm looking to become a project manager. Funky, where are you located, if you don't mind asking? Mark Goody say, product manager using project manager skill, PMP and CSM. That's a good one too. I am in Nigeria. The reason I'm asking that is because there's a PMI, the Project Management Institute, and I think I will drop the link at the end so you can go and look into it. I don't know if they have a PMI office in Nigeria, but most likely if you want to become a project manager. But now I think most of the things are remotely, so you can do it. I'm a certified project manager, but I haven't worked in project for a while. Okay, that's what Bucky said. You know what, Bucky? That's great, you know, and me too, I'm a certified project manager, but you will understand that once you have this project management skill, it kind of takes you everywhere, and your life even become a project. Al-Bashir say that he's a fresh grad and feel like I need to deepen my software engineer skill with experience before being able to manage project. Well, you can do that too, but most of the time you become a project management with experience. So for example, when I took my certificate at the University of Toronto, all of my classmates were engineers already. And to your point, they were looking to deepen the software the management skill because they have already done the software engineering skill. So I get your point. You should stick with the software engineering team. And if you want, in order to get some seniority level, that's when you go and get some project management certificate. Funky, I'm a lawyer, so wondering how easy it's for me to switch. Well, I mean, Funky, if you're a lawyer, then I mean, the risk part, there's a lot of transferable skill with project management. And as being a lawyer, there's a lot of different things that you can transfer: the risk, mitigating the risk, controlling the project, having the authority on the project. Those are very important skills that when you're a lawyer, you can transfer and becoming a project manager. And again, even in the lawyers, they need project management. And like people are saying that the way the lawyer field is moving to cloud-based system, right? So you don't know that you may have something right there. Paul say here, I'm currently working on a project to reduce some operational costs in our business. Does that make me a project manager? Yes, it makes you. So in project management, there's different terminology that's used, and this one is look like you are a project. So you'll be like you'll be like in a project coordinator, cost coordinator, where you're looking at operational costs. And again, once you manage the cost of a project, you can be you're a PM, like you're a project manager. Okay, there's a Nigerian PMI chapter. You can join via PMI. Oh, perfect, Tunde. So there you go, Funke. There's a Nigerian PMI chapter that you can join via PMI.org. I want to transition to a business analysis. Yes, I think as a project manager, that's the transition that is very easy to do as a BA, and they also have an institute. There's a different route for product management. There's definitely a different route for product management, but the reality that we start looking at is that project management has a lot of theory, whereas product management will have most of the quality of the product. So the two are very similar, but also a bit different, where product management really look into I think project management will be more a project management within the team of an engineering team, whereas where the product is released, what can I do in order to maintain the usability of the product, and what sort of activity I need to perform in order to do that. You can have a both BA and PMP certification, but there is need to have a more defined route for each person, definitely. So in the next slide here that I have, what is a project manager? The project manager is a professional in the field of a project management. Project manager have the responsibility of the planning, procurement, and execution of a project in any undertaking. And it's funny that you talk about product management, because in 2 weeks, we will be bringing a product manager. So please tune in. In 2 weeks, we're bringing a product manager. I thought it was very interesting for us to talk about project manager and then talk about product management, because to tune this point is two different things, which are kind of similar, but they're very different. So if you want to know more about product management, please come. Our guest, his name is, well, you will meet him, but he wrote a book, and his book actually was the #1 book into the product interface, and he will tell you more about that, but I can't wait to have him here. So again, if you want to get into the industry, it's important for you to start as a project coordinator. Start a small project and move your way up. Get a certificate in project management. Go into PMI.org to get your PMP before they change the rule, because they're getting a new PMP, I think by September 2020, if they don't push the date again. Yes, speaker wrote this exactly. Uchi share what the speaker wrote, the product hunt, how to product. This is going to be a fun and cool session. So please join us. Is it next weekend? Okay, so please join us next week.
No, after next weekend. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so next weekend, I think is it digital marketing?
Yeah, digital marketing.
Yeah, so next weekend is digital marketing, and the week after is product management, because we wanted to have a quick break. But please put your agenda, same time, same link, to get more detail on product management. That will be very exciting. And yeah, so that's about it. I feel like if we're going to talk about project management, we can go on and on and on and on. And I think maybe that moment is, if there's any other thing, if there's any question, if Dr. Adiola wants to add anything, but this is kind of like where I felt like, we cover quite a few approach. I'm just going to leave the screen here. And yeah, that's about it for me. So if there's any question, please feel free to share. Which previous slide? This one? Al-Bashir, this one? Is it this slide that you want, Albashi? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so, I'm very happy about, project management. It's something that, it's important. It's a life skill, once you have it. And, if you're not interested to get into project management right away, but you just want to, go around this, idea, please use ClickUp for any different things that you need to do, whether you're a lawyer or you want to have your house redone, even if it's for a personal project. Most of the time, as I said, I went as a project manager for a personal project because I felt like I was interested in so many different things and I wanted to just ensure that I keep my focus. So that's kind of how I went into project management. So
thank you so much, Christine, for leading us today. This is very insightful. I think it's pretty good that you got to share the regular project management approach, and then there is the tech approach to it. This really is something that people do need. So whether this is needed for your career or for your personal life, to just be able to organize things better, to be a better person, to be able to help yourself in terms of understanding how do you climb. I think with this skill, you'll be able to do a good management of your day-to-day activities alongside your professional life. And we want to thank everyone who has been able to join us. Uchi, thank you for walking us through ClickUp and for all the different tips. While you were going through that, I started thinking about STEMHub also migrating to ClickUp. So this has been very insightful for me.
That's amazing.
Thank you very much for sharing with us today. Our audience, as you know, this is streaming to YouTube. If you're interested in rewatching the series or to rewatching this particular workshop to be able to kind of understand, or at least when you're trying to navigate your projects, it's available on YouTube for you to rewatch. As you heard from Christine, next week we'll be moving on to digital marketing. So digital marketing is becoming one of those life skills that we all need. So whether you're selling a product or you are just trying to understand whether your time on social media is worth it, I think it will be something that I will encourage you to try to attend. As we build our portfolio for tech skills, yes, everybody will not use everything, but it's good to be aware of what the changes that are coming to us is like, so that we don't get to leave you behind in one area while you're a master of the other area. Well, thank you all for today. Do you, Uchi, Christian, any last words from STEMHub side? We appreciate you staying with us till the end of the program. We hope that you'll be here next week with us. And we hope that you spread this news to your colleagues, to your friends, to anyone that you know who can utilize this free masterclass to help their portfolio get a little optimized and be better in their career. Thank you. Last words from AfricaHacks team?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, check out our Twitter and also STEMHub Foundation's Twitter for more information about future events. We're gonna keep you updated there.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we will see you again next week. Christian, that was really remarkable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, and see you soon. See you next week.
Bye.